Alright, so what happened before this video started is I jumped in, and on the other side there was, I think, a cyclone. So I jumped into the system, and there's a Jag here. I reapproached gate. Actually, I think the Jag came after. I was just trying to see what was on the other side before I engaged the cyclone. Jag, um, it's got me locked up. He wants to engage. Now, even with the cyclone on the other side of the gate, I don't know what exactly made me so fearful here that I did not engage right now when that Jag aggroed me. Cyclone, I could probably either just de-aggro and jump through or whatever it took. But I certainly could kill this Jag right now, and I don't understand why I don't. It irritates me that I didn't. So what I end up doing is I end up jumping through the gate. That Ares is jumping across to cover the other side so that if I jump through, they have tackle on the other side. We can see this other guy potentially coming to help the Jaguar. Again, I should, from my current reasoning and from what I would say if I was playing this right now myself, I would be fighting that Jaguar and killing the Jag, even though it would bring in this Cyclone. I say I'm running, so I'm evidently trying to make something happen here. Maybe I want more than a Jag. I don't know. The Tengu, I don't know if he's with them. I guess he's not. He's warping off. So I don't want to spend too much time on this part of the video because the fight doesn't even happen here. So I reapproach the gate. You know, I probably could have killed the Slicer there and then escaped, or maybe the Slicer and the Malediction. Um, I'm not sure if the Cyclone has a scram. Typically, I would say that more often than not, Cyclones have scrams because they're typically heavy assault missile fit, and that would tend to indicate that it's that they're going to want to stay close. The Malediction tried to come in and get a scram on me, which tells me he doesn't have a long point. The Jag was too far off. I had everybody aggroed on the side, so I could have just jumped through and engaged that Jag. But I'm going to try to use this warp to separate out maybe that Cyclone. I don't know if this is the best thing to do. We're going to find out. But I'm trying to separate out the Cyclone by warping across system. Therefore, they're going to have to de-aggro, and these two little ships here, the Jag and the Malediction, are going to have to warp ahead to try to get in front of me and catch me. So, like always, in all my videos, I tell you to think of the fight from the other person's perspective. What would you be doing if you were in a fleet with a couple guys from your corp or whatever, and there was a Brutix in your space flying through, and you were trying to grab him? Well, they're obviously going to send their fastest ships ahead to try to tackle me, while everything else races to catch up and get in on the fight. So now I don't think I'm going to be able to escape before this Malediction gets a scram on me. Let's see. Shockingly, I get to warp. This he needs to overload his point or something. Alright, so hopefully the fight happens here. You can see them starting to come in now. One reason I might be being a little bit cautious here is because this group here, Kaz, they tend to blob really heavily. Whenever they fight, it's rare that they'll fight you unless it's like 20 to 1 or something ridiculous. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do here. So actually, now I remember what I was doing. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to try, now that I've kind of stretched them out across several gates, what I'm going to do is actually a really good tactic. And I was really proud of what happened here, is I'm going to start burning off the gate, micro warp drive on, overloading the micro warp drive, getting as far off that gate as I can. Now I know that they're all chasing me, so what I want to do is to basically I'm using the tactics that I would use if I was in a faster kitey type ship, like even the Pilgrim. I do this kind of thing in, but basically run off gate and force them to chase. So now that I've isolated or spread them out via doing several jumps and getting them to chase me several jumps, they're spread out already. They're not all together anymore. But by burning off, I further spread them in an order of the smallest ships to the biggest, because the smallest are the fastest. And so I just start engaging as they come in at me. So The Malediction didn't even scram me there. I don't know what his deal is. He came in, I took a few shots at him, and I did not turn around on him. The reason I didn't turn back and fight him was because I'm too close to that gate still. I don't want that cyclone coming in and pointing me right next to the gate. I want to take these ships one at a time. And to do that, I need to be as far off as possible. The Malediction's not scramming me. There you go. So finally he scrammed me. So now's the time to turn in and fight. So I need to... what are you doing? No, come on, scram web. All right, so now the slicer's in as well. Malediction's backed off, so I need to switch to the slicer. I messed up on that Malediction. I probably should have been able to tackle him and hold him close and as well as approach him. But I never stopped moving away from the gate, which it gives me more time where I don't have to deal with that cyclone. But at the same time, it means that Malediction was able to get away. I need to get a scram on the slicer. The slicers, very rarely do they come in close like this. This is surprising. So I need to get a web on him. I don't know why I'm not webbing him. Come on. Well, that's just ridiculous. All right, so down goes the slicer. I should have webbed him. Malediction's coming back. Time to kill him. Point, web, newt. There you go. Now I got him. All right, so he'll go down relatively quick. Trez Payne's came in, but he is not with them. He's a third party, and most likely I think he's going to be helping me here because he sees that I'm outnumbered. Typically, when somebody third parties, they're going to help the losing side because it's just Eve honor, but also if you're going to get kills, it's maybe the better way to go. So I'm not going to engage him because he's not really fighting against me or aggroing me, but I'm locking him up just in case he does, because I didn't know if he was going to help these guys or not. So maybe I am going to engage him. No, okay. So the Malediction went down, so now I'm on to the Jaguar. So I've killed a slicer and a Malediction. I'm on to the Jaguar now, engaging. Jaguar goes down. All right, so now it's just the Ares and the Cyclone. I tried to get off a cycle of my MJD because I knew that it was time to go, and it was time to go. Unfortunately, like I said, thought the Cyclone does have a scram. So now I'm forced to fight this Cyclone. I have no choice. The Ares is too far for me to do anything interesting. Nate Rayward, I don't believe, is with him, so maybe he's going to come get involved. I don't think so. So now I've just got to engage this Cyclone. So I'm overloading. I don't need to be... So many of these fights, I go back and watch them, and I see I should not be using that newt as much as I'm using it. Thankfully, I turned it off to save capacitor. I don't think I have void loaded. I've got counter-enemy antimatter, but don't want to switch to lose that time. I've got all my DPS on the Cyclone, but he is repping me with extreme ease, with no problem whatsoever. I probably should change my keypat to 1K to further. You can see my optimal there was 2,200, so I would increase my DPS a little bit if I could get closer to him. I am now cap dead, so being cap dead, the fight's really over. There's nothing I can do. This makes me, because you're so dependent on cap in this fit, there are a lot of fights like this where, that was weird. Did you see that? It looked like my capacitor went to full for a second and then back down to 0. That was odd. Let's go back and look at that. There it is. That was weird. Okay. So yeah, maybe a small Nas instead of a small newt would be the better choice because it's still going to drain them because you're usually going to be pretty low, but it's going to give you some defense against this. Now, you can see that some new things are happening on the field here. I believe this Cyclone still dies because you can see Nate Rayward is in. I don't know if he's aggroing. He's not aggroing me. So I assume he's aggroing the Cyclone. And they've also got a Falcon now, and Trez Payne has switched to a Stabber Fleet issue. So I'm just spamming warp because I know I've lost. I'm going to get my pot out. And most likely they will finish off that Cyclone, and I'll get that kill as well. So that's kind of nice. But the biggest lesson to take away from that one is to stretch your enemies out. Now, I don't know if that was actually the ideal way to play this fight. Maybe I would have done just as well if I would have engaged right there the first time on that Jag. I really don't know. But being able to jump in and start running off gate like that, it's a solid strategy. It's a very solid strategy for trying to get fights and to spread out your enemies so that you can take them in more bite-sized chunks.